Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Did I do the first one? Hey guys,
Today, and it's the wealthiest region in the world. We will prevent yet another like to lose that.
I don't think I saw this one, but I'm gonna go with the one that's after the episode I just did, and then maybe I'll go back and do that one. My name's Connor. If you're new, hello, sir or madam. I like to watch things and hang out on YouTube. Love to have you. Click all the buttons. Original link to the video, top the description right below that. Link to the Discord. Click on it. Send it right over there. If you don't get a role, don't panic. I will assign you one and promote you within a day. Let's go. If you're not ready to learn, there's the door. Home ec is down the hall. You're in the wrong class.
And we're back. Last episode, we talked about the European Coal and Steel Community, the EEC, and how it almost fell apart. Today, we're going to talk about the decades leading up to the founding of the EU. So far, there were three institutions: the EEC, the Coal and Steel Community, and the European Atomic Community. There were three different organizations with basically the same goal: unite Europe. But all three acted independently from one another, and it was time to merge them into one. So in 1967, the merger treaty was signed, which, as you might have guessed, merged the three institutions into one. This treaty set out three goals for the next 25 years: expand to other countries, create a fund that would help develop poorer regions, and make it easy for products, people, services, and money to travel between the countries. And so the European Communities was founded to achieve these goals. Seeing the economic benefits, more countries wanted to join. They were Spain, Norway, Denmark, Ireland, and the UK. The last four had actually tried joining a couple of years ago, but de Gaulle, ever afraid the UK and
De Gaulle is hilarious. I'm learning more and more about de Gaulle and how he very much I don't want to waste too much time, but he was not exactly cozy with the US and Britain and the rest of Europe, especially when it came to the EU, and was very kind of France first oriented.
They would try to dominate the European Communities, vetoed their ascension. While the French had elected a new president, so they tried applying for membership a second time. Spain was refused on the basis that it was a dictatorship. The other four countries held a referendum where the citizens could vote on whether to join the European Communities or not. The Norwegians voted against, and the other three countries voted in favor. And so 6 countries became 9. Greece joined later in 1981, which I'm sure isn't going to cause any problems in the future. Greenland became independent in 1985, held a referendum, and left the European Communities as it didn't agree with the fishing regulations. Spain and Portugal overthrew their democracies and were now allowed to join the European Communities as democracies in 1986, bringing the number to a grand total of 12 members. In 1975,
I'm going to go back to that Greenland thing at the end.
European Regional Development Fund was created. Its purpose was to transfer money from rich regions, not countries, to poor regions to improve infrastructure, attract investment, and create jobs. This type of activity currently accounts for over a third of EU spending. I'll leave this map here if you want to pause the video to take a closer look. Funny thing, EU spending. I'll leave jobs. This type of activity currently accounts for over a third of EU spending.
Interesting how parts of, you have Northern Ireland and then parts of Southern Ireland, and then the Mid-Ireland area is phasing in.
I'll leave this map here if you want to pause the video to take a closer look. Funny thing, one of the reasons the UK voted to leave the EU in 2016 was because they did not want to spend their money on poorer regions in Eastern and Central Europe. Well, do you know who the biggest supporter was of this fund? The UK. They went so far to make it a major issue when they joined the European Communities, pressuring the rest to create this fund. Why? Because at the time the UK had many of the poorest regions in Western Europe, and they received large sums of money to build up their economy. There's some irony for you. And in case you're thinking that this takes away prosperity from rich countries, it doesn't. When the poor become richer, they have more money to spend, and if they have more money to spend, they will buy more stuff, which means that rich people become richer as they now have more customers. It also means that these previously poor people are now able to produce new goods and services. It is thanks to this fund that Estonia is able to develop Skype. It's why Poland has become rich enough to create the Witcher series. It's why the UK grew prosperous enough to create create the Harry Potter series. It is thanks to this fund that a stagnant economy like Spain grew to become the 5th largest economy in Europe, behind Germany, the UK, France and Italy. Or to put it in another way, Spain's economy is just as large as that of the giant of Russia.
Really?
Thanks to these funds. And then came the last goal of the European community, Russia, thanks.
Not per capita, but total GDP?
Spain's economy. And then came the last goal of the European communities, free movement. Over the years, the European countries have made some progress towards this. European citizens no longer needed visas anymore to cross borders. You just showed your passport, got a stamp and moved on. So if, for example, you as a Portuguese citizen woke up in the morning, decided you wanted to visit Paris, you could hop on a plane and be in Paris that evening without first going through the lengthy and expensive process of getting a visa. And in 1985, this idea was expanded with the Schengen Agreement, one of the most iconic agreements of Europe.
Okay,
with
Schengen.
this treaty, anyone can travel between the member states without first being checked at the border. With this treaty, you can walk all the way from Portugal to Denmark without once being stopped to show your passport.
Yeah, we went from so this, I think it was back in 2018, maybe 2017. Me, my dad and brother rented a car. We flew into Heathrow, rented a car, went through the channel, went from France to Normandy, visit my great-great-uncle's grave, died at Normandy, World War II, and then went up into Brussels, into Belgium, and then Netherlands, down through Germany, and then into Austria, through Liechtenstein, Switzerland, back into France. And I really don't remember much passport pulling out of. I feel like maybe. No, yeah. So that was convenient. Sure.
With this treaty, countries save large sums of money as they no longer have to pay for expensive border checkpoints. Think about how radically different this is from, let's say, the USA and its war with Mexico, Israel and its war with Palestine, the Soviet Union and its war with Western Europe. The idea that people can live, work and study anywhere they want within Europe, that you, as a tourist, can at this very moment backpack to 26 countries with 26 different cultures, languages and peoples. That any of these countries can benefit from the knowledge, know-how and experience of any of the other countries without unnecessary bureaucracy. This is at the core of Europe, an open continent united in diversity. And now that people could move freely, it was time that goods could as well. This had been an economic boost to the Benelux. While yes, you no longer had to pay import taxes for your goods for decades, as discussed in the last episode, every country still had different legislations concerning these goods. A product sold to Denmark would need to adhere to different standards than, let's say, Ireland. This means that if you sold to several countries in Europe, you would need to look into each country's specific laws concerning your product, then make a...
So cool. Like, say Germany got in a big fight with US, not a military fight, but just got bad terms with the US, to the point where they wanted to apply tariffs or sanctions or tariffs on the U.S. So they would have to they could only do that with consulting other countries within the EU, because that would create a trade imbalance, and a big point of the EU is similar, if not copied or duplicate trade policies, and so you can't really get in a economic war with an individual country. You have to do it with the entirety of the EU. Is that right?
Different version of that product for each country. This drove up the cost of products and made it less appealing for companies to do business in Europe. This wasn't a big problem for the large economies such as West Germany.
So I missed that.
Goods. Episode. Every country still had different legislations concerning these goods. A product sold to Denmark would need to adhere to different standards than, let's say, Ireland. This means that if you sold to several countries in Europe, you would need to look into each country's specific laws concerning your product, product, then make a different version of that product for each country. This drove up the cost of products and made it less appealing for companies to do business in Europe. This wasn't a big problem for the large economies such as West Germany or France, but companies might not be so eager to sell to small countries like Luxembourg or the poorer countries such as Portugal. This could no longer be. In 1986, the Single European Act was launched. This was a vast 6-year program that would sort out the differences in national regulations of each of the member states by harmonizing their laws. It gave the European institutions the power to combine the economic laws of European countries so it's easier for companies to do business in Europe, meaning more jobs and more stuff for its citizens. At the end of this program, the European communities had achieved its goal: a larger European community, development funds, and free movement. The European communities lived up to its purpose, and with a new Europe came a new name: the European Union.
Yeah, interesting episode once again. And one of the things I want to go back was Greenland, but a lot of good things about the EU I learned about in this video. So a lot of the pros I learned, but the Greenland thing was interesting because Greenland is still technically a part of Denmark, is it not? Anyway, it said how Greenland sort of left the EU, but I guess I heard some other examples of different territories, like territories of France that are still technically in the French realm, but are not in the EU anymore. So maybe that's the case with Greenland. Cool video. Awesome. I'm learning more and more. And you guys have been very nice in the comments. Most of you have been. This is a tense topic for a lot of people, and so I expect some bickering, but been very helpful. Thanks, guys. I hope I'm not pushing too many buttons. I'm really enjoying learning about this, and I'm trying to come off as genuine as possible. I don't have an angle. I just want to learn, okay? Hope you're all doing well. If not, that sucks, but keep your chin up. You'll be good soon. Don't worry. See you guys.